When I bought that forgotten lake, it was nothing but mud, weeds, and silence. I poured my heart into bringing it back to life. Fish, docks, family memories. But just when it became something beautiful, signs appeared around the shoreline. The HOA claimed it was theirs. They had no idea what I was capable of. It started with a picture online. A patch of muddy water surrounded by dying grass and leaning trees. Most people would have scrolled right past it. But I saw something else. Something worth saving. A place that could become our family's escape from the noise of the world. The listing said private lake as is. The price was absurdly low. My wife laughed when I told her I wanted it. An abandoned lake? She said. I smiled. Exactly. It's got character. When I visited, the air smelled clean, wild. The water barely moved, but it had a strange calm about it. The dock was half sunken. Frogs croaked from the edges, and a single old cabin stood on the hill like it was waiting for someone to come home. I made the offer that same day. A few signatures later, it was mine. Driving back, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. I wasn't buying property. I was reclaiming silence, serenity, purpose. What I didn't know was that my peaceful lake was sitting in the middle of a storm I couldn't yet see coming. The next few weeks became a blur of work. Clearing brush, cutting weeds, draining muck from the shallows. My hands bled, my back ached. But every evening the lake looked a little more alive. My family joined in. My son learned how to hammer nails, helping me rebuild the dock. My daughter painted Hayes Lake on a wooden sign and nailed it to a post by the water. My wife brought lemonade and laughed every time the wind stole her hat. We stocked the lake with fish, bass, bluegill, catfish. I even bought lily pads for the shallow end to bring color back. Every night, we'd light a fire by the shore and listen to the frogs sing. Neighbors started stopping by, smiling, waving. Glad someone's fixing it up, they said. Felt right. Like the lake was healing and we were part of that healing. By midsummer, it looked perfect. The water sparkled, the dock gleamed, and the cabin smelled like fresh cedar again. I remember standing on that dock one morning, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise reflect across the water. It was everything I dreamed of: quiet, earned, honest. But peace has a strange way of inviting conflict. Because one morning, that peace was interrupted by a sign that didn't belong. Started small. A new sign hammered into the ground near the road. Private property, HOA enforcement in effect. I blinked. HOA? We weren't part of any HOA. Then came the letter, folded neatly, printed with bold words. Dear resident, please be advised that your property borders HOA-regulated water. Future use must comply with subdivision guidelines. It made no sense. My property was a full mile from the nearest subdivision. But the letter had a logo, signatures, and even a fake legal compliance number. A week later, I found another sign, this one staked right by my dock. No swimming. HOA maintenance area. I walked around the entire shoreline, heart pounding. It was like someone was trying to mark my land piece by piece. I talked to a few neighbors. They avoided eye contact. One older man whispered, "Careful. They've done this before." That night I couldn't sleep. Something about the way that letter was worded felt deliberate. I poured another coffee, sat by the window, and stared at the lake. My lake. If they wanted to pick a fight over this place, they had no idea who they were messing with. 2 days later, it happened. I was sanding the dock rails when I heard tires crunching on gravel. A white SUV stopped near the water, and 3 people stepped out, clipboards in hand, wearing matching polos with the HOA logo. The woman in front, tall and sharp-eyed, looked like she ran on caffeine and control. "I'm Diane Carter, HOA president," she said, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We're here for an inspection." "Inspection of what?" I asked. "Community resources," she replied smoothly. "This lake is shared property under HOA ordinance." I almost laughed. "This isn't your community. It's private land." Her smile stiffened. "We'll see about that." The 2 men behind her started taking photos and measuring the dock. One knelt, writing something down. "Hey!" I barked. "You're trespassing." She ignored me, turning to her clipboard. Non-compliant structure, unauthorized dock expansion, illegal water stocking. That last one made me laugh outright. "You're calling fish illegal?" Her expression turned icy. "You'll be fined, Mr. Hayes. Expect notice soon." They left tire tracks in the mud on their way out, and I stood there gripping the railing, pulse pounding. That night, I reread every document from the purchase: deed, title, county map. The boundaries were clear. The lake was mine, fair and legal. But I knew something now. This wasn't confusion. It was control. And Diane Carter wasn't done with me yet. I spent the next week buried in paperwork. County offices, archives, dusty ledgers from the 1950s. The original land deed showed a clear boundary, 2 parcels, one of them my lake, marked private. The subdivision came decades later and never included it. But that wasn't all. In the county records, I found something darker, a filed HOA claim from 6 months before I bought the lake, signed by none other than Diane Carter herself. It described unassigned water property to be absorbed for community use. They had tried to claim it before I even knew it existed. I printed every file, stamp date, and document I could find. Meanwhile, the harassment grew. Violation letters appeared weekly. A fake fine was taped to my cabin door. One night, my mailbox was smashed, and the wooden Hayes Lake sign my daughter painted was gone. That was it. I wasn't about to lose something I built with my family because a power-hungry HOA president wanted to expand her little empire. So I prepared. I recorded every encounter, photographed every sign, documented every threat. When Diane scheduled an open community meeting to resolve ongoing disputes, I smiled, because she thought she'd ambush me. But I was the one setting the trap. The meeting was held in the local clubhouse, neutral ground, they called it. When I walked in, the air felt heavy, judgmental. About 50 people filled the room. I saw neighbors I'd waved to for months now whispering behind their hands. Diane stood at the front, microphone in hand, a stack of papers beside her. "Thank you all for coming," she began, voice sugary sweet. "Tonight we address an individual who has illegally taken control of HOA property." Eyes turned toward me. I didn't flinch. She clicked a remote, showing photos of my dock, my family swimming. "Unauthorized use of community water," she declared. I waited until the gasp settled. Then I walked to the front. "Mind if I show something?" I asked. She hesitated, then nodded, confident I'd hang myself with my words. I plugged in a USB drive. County maps appeared on the projector, dated, sealed, certified. "This," I said, tapping the screen, "is the original boundary line. Your HOA stops right here." I pointed to the subdivision. "And this," my finger moved across the map, "is my lake. Always has been." Murmurs filled the room. Diane's smile faltered. I held up a document stamped with the county seal. "Filed before your HOA ever existed. Signed by the county clerk. Legal. Final." Her hand trembled as she grabbed the microphone. "This meeting is adjourned," she snapped. But it was too late. The truth was already out. I thought it was over, but people like Diane don't give up easily. A week later, I got a letter from her lawyer threatening a lawsuit for defamation and noncompliance. I handed it straight to my friend Marcus, a retired Marine-turned-property attorney. He read it, smirked, and said, "Let's end this." Marcus filed a counterclaim citing harassment, trespassing, and attempted fraud. We attached every piece of evidence: letters, photos, video recordings, timestamps. The court hearing was short but brutal. Diane's lawyer tried to argue community benefit ownership, but the judge stopped him cold. "Show me one document proving jurisdiction," he said. They couldn't. Then Marcus produced the 1953 deed with county verification and Diane's unauthorized claim attempt from 6 months prior. The judge's tone shifted. "Mrs. Carter, are you aware filing a false property claim is a criminal act?" Her face drained of color. The verdict came fast. HOA fined, Diane removed from her position, and an injunction issued against further contact. When it was over, I stepped outside the courthouse, the sun on my face, the air crisp. Marcus clapped my shoulder. You just made every HOA tyrant in the county very nervous. I laughed. Good, because sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's a single stamp of a gavel echoing louder than all their lies combined. Word spread fast. Neighbors who once looked away started knocking on my door. Some apologized. Others shared stories of HOA intimidation. Fines for bird feeders, pressure to sell, threats over nothing. A month later, the entire HOA board resigned. New leadership formed, promising transparency and fairness. The lake, once a source of conflict, became a gathering place. Kids fished off the dock. Families picnicked by the shore with permission this time. And every time I looked across the water, I saw more than reflections. I saw resilience. That lake taught me more than any classroom ever could. I learned that peace isn't something you find. It's something you defend. That silence can be sacred, but only if you're willing to speak when it's threatened. The HOA tried to claim my lake with paper and arrogance. But they forgot something. Truth doesn't bend to signatures or suits. It stands. Now, every sunrise over that calm water reminds me of one thing. You can rebuild anything. Your land, your peace, your life. As long as you refuse to surrender what's rightfully yours. So, tell me, if someone tried to take away the thing you built with your own hands, would you fight back? Or would you let them drain it dry? Because sometimes defending peace means making waves.